Hello, my name is Maximilian Hillenblink and I study Kwajong at Busan National University. And together with my colleagues Kim Sujin and zhou yuetong, we wrote a paper under the guidance of Professor Park Changun about a case study on the Holocaust in the German school curriculum. And I will show you the contents of our paper and of our presentation today. First, I will give you a short overview about historical background. Then I will show the documents we used for the paper. Third, we will show the perspective of the German Federal Republic on the topic. Fourth is the curriculum of the state of Sachsen and why we chose this. And then we will come to our conclusion. First, the historical background. Just some important dates. 1933, Adolf Hitler becomes Chancellor of the Third Reich, the German Empire. In 1935, the Nuremberg race laws were introduced, where the first time openly Jews were persecuted by law. In 1937, the construction of Buchenwald started. November 1938, the Reichskristallnacht was started. That was the first time open violence were shown against Jews in Germany. In 1940, the construction of Auschwitz started. And the most important date probably was in 1942, the Wannsee Conference, where the end solution of the Jew question was decided. They made the laws how to persecute the Jews, how to kill Jews in Germany. These are, I think, the most important parts of this time. Now I want to briefly show you which documents we used. We used two documents. One is from the Kultusminister Conference. I will later talk about what it is. The other one was from the German government, the Bundestag. The Permanent Conference Secretary of the Minister of Education and Culture of the Federal Republic Germany, short KMK. They wrote a paper about on dealing with the Holocaust in schools. And the German government made a paper about National Socialist themes in school education in Germany, Austria, Poland, and in France. These were the papers we used. Now I will talk about the perspective of the German Federal Republic on the question about school education, about National Socialism. Before I will talk about this, I will give you a short introduction to the German curriculum system, just briefly. It's a little bit different from the Korean system. I think we have more freedom in creating a curriculum, and we are just following specific guidelines. So the Bundestag government gives a framework with laws about the curriculum, what should be in the curriculum. And the Kultusminister Conference and the Kultusministerium normally follows them. The Kultusminister Conference gives more specific guidelines to the 16 states of the Federal Republic of Germany. Each of the 16 ministries make own curriculum in accordance to the Kultusminister Conference, but the curricula are always suited to their own needs. So there are always differences from state to state in Germany. So on the state of the Bundestag, first, they say that the subject areas of National Socialism and the Holocaust must be topic in the study of history or social science in schools. Second, memory and the culture of remembrance are described as essential areas of interest in historical political education. Third, it is recommended that schools participate in additional training programs for commemoration and memorial sites, integrate them into their extracurricular and project-based learning, establish educational partnerships with memorials, museums, archives, and other sites. Field trips to places of memory outside of Germany are also always possible in German schools. Fourth, regarding National Socialism, it is emphasized that crimes committed under the regime of National Socialism must not be equated or relativized with the crimes of other political systems or dictatorships. Next is the point of view of the Kultusministerkonferenz. National Socialism and the Holocaust are addressed in several subjects from grade 5 to 10 with a specific focus always. In 9th or 10th grade, or sometimes even in 8th grade, subject area is an essential part of the curriculum. In German language and religion ethic classes, the subject area is again required course at the upper secondary level, so 11th to 13th grade, with a deeper and broader context emphasized. Now I want to talk about the curriculum of the state of Saxony, of Sachsen. So why did we choose the state of Sachsen for our paper? Sachsen is one of the few states in Germany that had to endure 2 dictatorships in a short period of time. One was the National Socialism under Hitler's rule, and the second was the socialist dictatorship under the SED in the East German era. Being under such regimes for such a long time, if you see, it's from 1933 to 1989. That had a strong impact on the people living there. Teaching democracy, freedom, and humanism is a crucial task in this area. Even today, states like Saxony show a greater aversion towards foreigners or even Jews. Moreover, they tend to vote for non-democratic parties more often than people in other states of Germany. That's the reason why we took a closer look at this curriculum. When we see in the history classes for the grades 5 to 9, there are several topics which are discussed. First is the attempt to shape the future of Europe after World War I. Second, gain insights into the peace order in Europe after World War I. Third, the path of Germany from democracy to dictatorship. Fourth, understanding why there was a growing rejection of the Weimar Republic and acceptance of National Socialism. Fifth, National Socialist dictatorship, knowledge of the ideological foundation, methods of exclusion and persecution by the regime, internal violence and terrorism, basis persecution of Jews. Six is a big part, the Shoah, so the Holocaust. Seventh is the vertical cross-section, evaluation of the basics, characteristics of German foreign policy from the German Empire to the Nazi state, between reconciliation and confrontation, study, justice and law under the Weimar Republic and National Socialism. Then we will talk about history classes from grades 11 to 13. First is democracy and dictatorship, the desires and realities of the 20th century social models. Second, knowledge of basic principles of democracy applied to the governance structure of the Nazi state, evaluation of the allure of authorization regimes using the example of the Nazi regime, and understanding examples of resistance and rejection of the Nazi state. Third, forms and identity formation of historical culture, processing the burden of history through examples of past National Socialism. Fourth, political ideas of order and political participation, understanding the governance structure of the Nazi dictatorship, positioning oneself on the attractiveness of the Nazi dictatorship, and understanding the history of exclusion and integration in Jewish political participation and the persecution and murder during the Nazi era. Fifth, the challenge of peace, exploring for sustained coexistence in peace by understanding the causes of conditions of war in different areas. And sixth, forms and identity formation of historical culture, processing the burden of history through the examples of past nationalism. There are also other school subjects in which is dealt with the topic of the Holocaust. This is always optional, but from my experience, I also attended school in Germany. It is a big part of each class. So in German classes, you have history focused, political themes reflected in poetry, with topics such as war and peace, rebellion and obedience. Second, a big part is always literary history after 1945 and literature after 1945. Third is the interpretation of text related to the Holocaust. Next subject is ethics. A big part is Judaism. Second, judgment and prejudice. Understanding prejudice through examples of persecution of Jews in Germany. Then one more is, for example, religion. In religion classes, you learn different forms of religion. They try to teach the understanding and the beliefs of the aspects of the life of Jews, as well as the forms of anti-Semitism. Second, understanding the roots of anti-Semitism, and then the meaning of Shoah, of the Holocaust. Now I want to show you a little class content example in history, ethics, or even German classes. This young woman is called Sophie Scholl. She was a member of the White Rose resistance group against the Third Reich. She still remains important even after 75 years after her violent death. Her story is a symbol of extreme civic courage and resistance against the Hitler dictatorship. So we learn a lot about her and her brother, who also participated in the White Rose resistance group, in several classes, subjects in Germany. Then, for example, in history classes, we use a lot of historical learning. We use original sources, like you see here, Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf. The book is forbidden in Germany, but in parts it's possible to read it in history classes or other classes in school. Normally, we start that we learn methods of interpreting original text sources. Then we start with the interpretation of the results, gaining knowledge and understanding through the original sources. Then the last part is reflection of interpretation comparison with the present and multiple perspectives. So we always have a lot of discussion in German school classes. So everybody is able to say his opinions or her opinion, and yeah, it's a lively class always in Germany. In German classes, we have, for example, the Diary of Anne Frank. It's a very, very important book for us. How a class is done. We have passages from the book, and we get questions where we can discuss about it. So, for example, in this part of the book, there is the question: what qualities does Anne Frank possess? Then in the text, she describes her daily life and her friends before going in hiding. So the question is how she describes them. And then there's a special date, the June 20th of 1942, where she wrote, "I have no friends." Then students have to think about why did she write something like this. So we have a lot of analyzing of these texts. The next class example is for German or politics classes. It's variable. We have, for example, this speech of Goebbels in the Sportpalast about starting a war. And we have several tasks. The first is, you are a newspaper editor, write a title with subtitle for the speech. Second is, you are newspaper editors, write a short summary about what Goebbels says and how the audience reacts. Third, you are at home and you are listening to the speech, write about your thoughts and feelings. The last question in this part is, you're watching parts of the speech in the news at the cinema, describe how the other people act. It's class. Then, for example, in religion, we learn first a lot of about other religions like Judaism, Islam, and Buddhism. In Germany, we have all of these religions, not only Catholic or Protestants. We have a lot of people from who believe in Islam, for example. So we learn about this too. We have a lot of discussions about religions, and we discuss, for example, about the differences and commonalities between all the religions. So why is this needed? If you do it, you have you see other religions from another perspective, and you see that they are not so unfamiliar. You gain a more understanding about other religions, so you have less fear about other religions, and it's a good method to get rid of prejudice. So in conclusion, through the Holocaust education, students get a chance to understand different cultures, religions, and different lifestyles. And most important, we can learn from the past to not repeat the past. I think it will help to prevent racism and that we don't repeat historical events or mistakes, or which can gain a better, peaceful life together. So in the future, it would be interesting to see how other countries deal with subjects like this, how for example, the Nazi time is taught in China, in Korea, or in other countries, and how other countries deal with their own dark past. That would be interesting fact for future papers, I think. I thank you very much for your attendance and for your interest. Have a good day. Bye-bye.